AI is changing what humans can do.
Brittin, and he's the president of EMEA, Business and Operations for Google. That's for the whole of Europe, Middle East, and Africa. What's the impact of AI on our jobs? So, for the future.
Most jobs will see changes in how we do things and more productivity. There'll be whole new industries created. So what does that mean for the skills you need? I'd say a few things. Curiosity, the ability to kind of keep learning. Empathy. So one of the things that technology can't do is really put itself in the shoes of another human.
How do you see AI impacting or integrating in our everyday life?
Giving people better information so that they can plan things better. You're not going to find that AI is taking over from you. What you're going to find is that smart people using AI are going to be doing better.
How is Google try and make AI safe for us ethically?
So we don't wait for regulation. We always try to start out with some principles. While we're being bold and looking at the biggest benefits to society, we've also got to understand the risks. Mistakes, misuse, misinformation. Let's understand those and let's use the technology itself to kind of protect us against them.
Long-term vision for AI and its potential to enhance human capabilities and decision making. What does that look like for you and for Google? Ladies and gentlemen, classmates, welcome to another class. Today we're going to be talking about something we've been hearing a lot about, and that's AI. I think that has been the buzzword for the last couple of years, and we're going to get it straight from an expert on it, and I'm excited about this conversation. I got an invite to spend the day with Brittin, and he's the president of EMEA, Business and Operations for Google. That's for the whole of Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And it has been life-changing for me, and I'm happy to have this conversation with him. Mr. Matt, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for being so flattering. It's been great to spend some time with you too.
Yeah, I saw you on a Boda. How was that?
It was fun.
It was fun.
I don't think that these motorbikes are designed for big guys to sit on the very back of them, though. I'm not sure about the physics of that.
Right. Interesting. I've never thought about that. Good one. You came bearing some goodies, You launched, I think there was 15 more African languages, across voice search and Google Translate. Yeah. And then you came in with launched $5.8 million supporting AI.
Yes, that's right. For AI and cybersecurity skills training,
Right. And I know, I think about a year or 2 years ago, the CEO of Google said, they're going to support Africa with $1 billion.
Yes.
And on the backdrop of all of this, I'm just going to start from 2050. It's the year 2050. AI has been with us. How does that future look like when you picture it?
Well, you know what? It's very hard to make projections about the future, but I think what you can do, and what the founders of Google did, was really thought about the long-term trends. So when they started Google, like hardly anybody was connected. We didn't have mobile devices. We didn't have cloud computing, but they backed the trend that people were going to get connected and that people were going to want to access information. And they were right. So I think, where are we today with the long-term trend? You can see that most of the planet is connected.
Right.
In Africa, still a minority, but in the next few years, it becomes the majority of Africans are connected.
Right.
Second thing you can see that's going to happen is AI is changing what humans can do. It's giving us incredible new tools, and we're just starting to see some of those. Like our colleagues won a Nobel Prize last week for their work in science on proteins, and that's going to lead to drug discovery, disease research, enzymes that can eat plastics, all kinds of things which we haven't thought of yet. So I think, talking about long-range planning, you're going to see everyone online. They're going to have devices and assistants that are tailored to them to do things, to help them get more out of their lives, and hopefully help them spend more time doing things that only humans can do, while having this kind of technology be able to take care of more of the work that is administrative or is dull, but also give them more creative possibilities than ever before.
A follow-up on that. I think every time we talk about AI, the first thing that goes is what's the impact of AI on our jobs? So, for the future, what skills should I don't know, get myself so that, AI doesn't render me?
Yeah, so I think it's really hard to project exactly how a new technology is going to change the world. AI is a general purpose technology, and we're just starting to see its applications emerge. And some of them are like chatbots, which are great for helping with homework. Some of them are tools like Google Lens that helps you take a photograph and understand the world. Some of them are scientific and energy and so on. So in that world, it's likely that most of us will do the same kind of jobs, but just with better tools.
Right.
A bit like, electricity meant that you could spend, more time doing the stuff that you want to do and automate and mechanize some things which are boring, like, doing the washing of the dishes or the washing of the clothes or whatever. So I think most jobs will see changes in how we do things and more productivity. There'll be whole new industries created. Like I've spent nearly 20 years at Google. The internet was not a thing when I was born, and the World Wide Web was only invented when I was at university. So they'll have whole new industries employing millions of people that we haven't thought of yet. And there may be some jobs that go away altogether. So what does that mean for the skills you need? I'd say a few things. Curiosity, the ability to kind of keep learning. Creativity, the ability to kind of put tools to work and come up with something new and amazing. Collaboration, we're still going to need to work with each other and with technology and new ways. And I think empathy. So one of the things that technology can't do is really put itself in the shoes of another human. So I think the way to think about this right now is you're not going to find that AI is taking over from you. What you're going to find is that smart people using AI are going to be doing better. And so you want to be in that group.
Okay, cool. So, that's on the job sphere. But what about everyday life? How do you see AI impacting or integrating in our everyday life? I mean, we saw you on a Boda yesterday. What was that about?
Yeah, so we were visiting a project that we're working with on air quality.
Okay.
So I think AI is going to be able to help us to address a whole array of problems and challenges that we face today. So, we know that air pollution is a real problem. Air quality has big impact on people's lives every day. So we're working with Airquo, and what they're doing is using AI and air quality sensors that are connected to the cloud to report on what's happening. They use some on Buddhas and some in static sites to collect data on what's happening across Nairobi and across an array of other cities. Then how do you use that data? Well, they give it to the city council and they can see where are the areas where there's congestion. Maybe they could change the traffic flows. They can see the kind of business case, like how badly polluted is the city in which kind of days. Maybe they should be making some changes to regulations around electric vehicles or the type of vehicles on the roads. And it also gives a 5-day forecast of air quality to people so that they can make their own choices about their lives. So that's an example of AI giving people better information so that they can plan things better.
So I know a lot of development happening with AI. I think the biggest question is the ethical part. So how is Google, try and make AI safe for us ethically speaking?
Yeah, I mean, we take our responsibilities really seriously in all the products that we have. And I think it's true that, laws and regulations take time to be thought through and put in place. So we don't wait for regulation. We always try to start out with some principles. And the way we think about AI is we want to be bold. That means we want to really go after things like the Nobel Prize, not to win the prize, but because we think we can make huge breakthroughs in health and science and disease research. We want to be responsible. So while we're being bold and looking at the biggest benefits to society, we've also got to understand the risks, mistakes, misuse, misinformation. Let's understand those and let's use the technology itself to kind of protect us against them. And then the third thing is we need to do it together. So bold, responsible together. We do it together with you, the community, and governments to come together and say, well, what is it? What are the right trade-offs here to make sure that we harness technology for good, all those benefits, but we're also protecting against its misuse?
Wow. $5.8 million for education, So when it comes to education and training, how do you see, how are you thinking about this? Where does the money go and how does,
So when I started this job about 10 years ago, we saw that there was a lack of digital skills. And that we could see that the jobs of the future were going to need digital skills. So we've now trained something like 14 million people across the African continent.
Wow.
So $5.8 million is going to build on top of the training we've already done of 14 million Africans, partner with Nelson Mandela University, and it's about AI and it's about cybersecurity. So how can we train a generation of African entrepreneurs in NGOs, in schools, in companies, in government to understand these new technologies and to build tools, products, businesses that work for Africans.
You mentioned government and traditionally a lot of governments across the world are pretty slow. I mean, and the rate at which AI is moving. And I'm just wondering, is Google working closely with governments and how is that collaboration looking like? Because I know when you talk about regulation, government has to come in and, are the governments moving as fast as we need them to?
Well, look, I spend quite a lot of time with policymakers and government officials and ministers and so on because they want to understand the new technology and how to put it to work for good. But they also want to understand the risks. And it's right that laws take time to put in place because they need to be tested and go through a process. But we also need to play our part in having codes of practice and principles that we work together with governments on. So I think what's good about AI is people can see it's a big change.
Oh, yeah.
And they can see it's capable of new things and they're worried. And you've had people who work on AI saying, there's some real threats if we don't manage this well. So I think there's a lot of attention on that, which is a good thing. But we do need to play our part in sort of explaining the technology. Sometimes we use language that's really hard to understand. We need to be able to sort of explain it. And at its heart, the way I think about AI and generative AI is that it's really good at spotting patterns, making predictions, and learning.
Right.
And we can apply that to language, spotting patterns about what words mean and so on, making predictions so you can generate, and then learning. When I put this out there, people correct it or people ignore it, means it's not as good as it could be. So we apply that to languages, but we can also apply it to scientific problems, to energy, to air quality, to a whole array of other human problems.
All right. I mean, I'm seated with you and there's the big name there, Google, right behind us. And we've known Google for being a search engine. I know there's so many products that you guys are doing right now. I'm just curious, what does AI look, in terms of the search engine? What changes are you making there? I know people are saying, okay, this is the death of Google. Now with AI, we'll use all AI apps for search engines. So
so people who are saying this is the end of search, probably the people who are trying to compete with search, which is good. It's a very competitive world. What we've tried to do with our AI, we have a series of models called Gemini. They're very powerful. They can generate content. They can help you understand the world. But we will never compromise the trust that people place in Google search. When you come to search, it's usually because you've seen stuff elsewhere and you want to actually understand the world. And sometimes we give you the one right answer, but often we'll point you to an array of places so that you can, make your mind up. So we've been very careful about not putting too much generative AI in search until we can understand that it can be trusted and relied upon. But, search has always evolved. So when I started at Google, it was 10 blue links, no pictures, no maps, no kind of knowledge panels, nothing. And it looks very different today and it's on your mobile device. So it always keep evolving. And we know that we're only as good as our last search result. You can go anywhere you want to kind of find information. So we have to work really hard on being relevant and useful to you.
Long-term vision for AI and its potential to enhance human capabilities and decision-making. What does that look like for you and for Google?
So a few things. If I look at what I'm doing today in my own behavior, I've been using AI for a while in like my emails and writing documents. If I was going to come and interview you, for example, I might sort of put a prompt in and ask for some suggested questions given who you are and what you talk about. And that's helpful as a first draft. So I've been using AI to do like a first draft for a while. Something I really enjoy using at the moment is called Notebook LM. You can search for that and find it. You can put a load of different files in there, PDFs of reports, documents you've written, videos and other things. And then you can ask questions about it. You can ask it to summarize them. You can say, find the arguments that help me understand this. The other thing, which is really cool, you can ask it to make a podcast from those materials on a particular theme that you might give it. And so you can take a lot of complex stuff and simplify it. Now, you think about that in the life of a busy business person or government official or student. You think about the fact that instead of having to read through all that stuff, I can listen to a 20-minute podcast and go, okay, this is interesting. Tell me where you got those sources from, and then read the things that I need. So I think that's the beginning of seeing really useful applications of AI.
To the gentleman seated in front of me, Matt, I'm curious because what you do is amazing. It's a lot of work. So I'm going to ask two questions just to figure out the man that's seated right there.
Okay.
Don't be scared.
Now I'm careful. Okay.
Top 3 books you'd recommend?
I'm never good at these questions, but I tell you the top book I recommend, unless you've got young children, it's Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker.
Why We Sleep by
So I think we don't really understand how important rest is for everything we do. Like how our physical fitness, but also our mental agility, our emotional resilience, and so on. So I think Why We Sleep is really, really helpful. If you've got young children, wait for a couple of years till you read it. Otherwise, read it and put it into practice. So I think Why We Sleep is a really good book. So let me just leave you with that as a top recommendation.
Okay, Why We Sleep. That's a very interesting choice. I wouldn't have thought of that. And finally, do you have a personal mantra that you tell yourself every day? that keeps you going?
I don't have a particular one mantra. There are a few things that I kind of think about a lot. And probably the most important one is to listen. And it may sound like a strange thing, but I think, I work in a complicated world of technology and change and diversity. I'm working in lots of different countries with amazing people, different cultures. And I think in the work that I do, listening well is always the most important thing to do. So I really try to pay attention to what people are saying and what they're not saying and understand where they're coming from. In that way, I enjoy the diversity of the world a lot, but I also try and learn a lot. And I think if you want to be a good leader, and I know you spend time exploring that, I think listening to lead is one of the things that I really try to say to myself.
Amazing. Thank you so much for gracing us and giving us the time. This has been amazing. We were having this conversation in partnership with Google. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And Matt, it was amazing and an honor meeting you. Thank you so much.
You're so kind, and I really enjoyed meeting you too. So thank you for the time you spent with us.
All right. Thank you so much.